We covered skeletal muscle and smooth muscle, so this will just briefly cover cardiac muscle. So cardiac muscle is involuntary and it is striated. It has troponin, it has tropomyosin, it uses calcium from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. A lot of this is very similar to skeletal muscle, but it has its own pacemakers and it uses gap junctions for the cells to directly communicate to each other. Cardiac muscle has short, thick cells that are branched via what we call anastomoses. So the cells kind of have this weird shape to them. So they have this little zigzag here, and then there's another zigzag here. This is all one cell. So this cell is able to communicate with multiple others all at once. So we call those intercalations. So this allows the cells to communicate with more than one cell. So one cardiac muscle cell is able to communicate with like 3 or 4 others, and that allows them to send signals to lots of others quickly all at once. It's kind of like sending a text message in like a group message, sending it to 10 people all at once instead of individually texting each person. It allows for more effective communication between the group of cells. So they use gap junctions, and the sarcoplasmic reticulum is less developed, but T tubules are bigger, so you get calcium from extracellular fluid. They are autorhythmic because the pacemaker cells are telling the cardiac muscle when to contract, and it continues on a beat. Cardiac muscle uses aerobic respiration. Good news, because that is very resistant to fatigue, which would be a huge problem. If your heart muscle was like, I'm too tired, and it shut down, that would not go well for you. The problem with using aerobic respiration is that this requires oxygen. Without oxygen, that is what we end up calling a myocardial infarction. So if myocardial infarction, if the muscles are not able to get oxygen, they're not able to make ATP, and then the muscle cells themselves will actually die. When muscle cells die, that's bad for the function of your heart, and that is when the heart quits working, depending on how many of the cells die. So myocardial infarction is a heart attack due to lack of oxygen supply to the muscle fibers or cells. This leads to death of the muscle cells and decreased function of the heart. So we've gone through skeletal, cardiac, and smooth muscle. This table just acts to compare the differences. So this is basically what you should know about the differences between them. Obviously, skeletal muscle we spent a lot more time on, so you should be more familiar with that. But for example, like where calcium comes from, how it's stimulated, the primary energy source, these things are really important for you guys to know. Okay. So I will let you guys go through these questions kind of on your own. Try and fill out this table and then go ahead and grab your notes as you need to. And then you'll see there are multiple different tables. Go ahead and answer all of those questions to the best of your ability and then go through and look at the answers.